I think in the next 2.5 to 5 years, I think there's going to be a lot of fully autonomous, like end-to-end digital start to resolutions of cases with probably just a little tiny little bit of human oversight to like double check things, make sure it's accurate. It may not be like 100%. Like I still think you need humans to sort of manage the system, but humans double checking and making sure there's quality, there's some quality control there. And what excites me about that is like, first off, it never needs to be provided as the only option for consumers. You always got to give consumers an off-ramp. But as software compounds, as product experiences compound, as that gets better and better and better, and you deploy it on more and more of the flow, more and more people start taking that option. But what it also does, I think, is it expands the market for legal services. So if every single law firm had, like for cases they would otherwise not take, it's like, it's not really enough revenue for us in this one. It's not really our sweet spot. Like, what if every one of them could say, hey, actually, for these cases we would otherwise not take, here's like a fully digital path to get your case resolved. We're barely involved, but we can help you, but you got to go through this path. And then let's say the mid-tier cases, it's like, actually, we can fully automate these too. And then these like complex, hairy cases up here, we got to do much more manually. But like, I just think that option, if provided to people, more and more people will take it, and they don't have to take it. It doesn't have to be the only option. But I do think it expands the market for legal services. I think a lot of cases that are usually aren't taken could be taken. I don't think we're there yet, but like there are so many pieces in place right now in terms of capabilities. I see it in our product. Like we've got all the sort of core capabilities. We haven't fully fleshed it out to do like obviously end-to-end case, but at least from an intake perspective, which is where we're focused, like we're already doing 95% autonomous in a number of situations. And then there's some customers where they just use us for like a smaller piece. But like, I just think that's going to keep getting more and more over time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to start asking you about is from the consumer side, what does this mean in terms of law firms and their capacity? Because I think short-sighted wise, like people think, oh, maybe I can lower my headcount or I can scale without increasing headcount. But from the consumer side, does this mean that, having a case is going to be way more accessible? Is this going to be a full transformation where, like what you saw with like commercial flights, where it was for a select few people, and then, now anyone can take a flight anywhere? What this means in terms of a law firm's capacity for consumers, and the type of people they're going to be able to serve, rather than, these lengthy cases and only being able to take on so many.
I think it can have a huge impact. Like there is such a barrier accessing legal service now. Like we all know this. We all know the justice gap. Everyone talks about it. But like, I feel like we're all marching in a direction as an industry where we can start creating sort of digitally delivered legal services or autonomous legal services. It's not going to happen in all legal services, but I think there are certain places it's going to happen first. And I think it'll probably expand to cover more areas than people are even thinking today. And I think that's huge for the consumer because, again, if you're a law firm with, a certain capacity of X, let's say X equals 100, and that's just your capacity. Let's say you can handle 100 cases at once. If with the exact same team size, you can now handle 150, that's one way to look at it. Like same case types, 150 now instead of 100. That's fantastic. If you could lower the cost of delivering that service, right, then you maybe open yourself up to take cases that you just never would have taken before. Maybe a case that just wasn't worth it now becomes worth it because you can deliver it for way less cost than you could. And so maybe now instead of just going from 100 to 150 cases, you can actually open up a whole new market and be like, hey, actually, we're going to start doing this type of law as well, which we normally didn't. And, now we have another 100 cases we can handle in that type of law. And I think that's just nothing but good for consumers. It's just like making sure that we are, building these autonomous systems properly, building, all the decision engine framework and everything properly, educating and helping law firms, oversee these systems and know that like the exit valves or the offboarding ramps for consumers are always there. I think about it like e-commerce. I don't know the exact numbers, but in 1995 or something, e-commerce as a percentage of all shopping from a consumer perspective was tiny. People didn't trust the internet. They're like, I'm not going to put my credit card in. I'm not going to buy things. Like, that seems crazy. I need to go to the store. I got to talk to someone. I got to ask them about the product. Like, the idea of just buying it all was kind of crazy. And like, it started with books, right? Like, famously, Amazon sold books. It's a little bit easier, sort of less questions about the product. Fast forward to today, I think e-commerce as a total global share of shopping is somewhere in the order of like 10% or something, or 12%. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's massive and it's growing year over year. And consumers are buying things that you would have never expected them to buy online. People are buying mattresses and vehicles, and like they're shopping for clothes, and there's tools that help you like understand your size and fit, and so like the digital experience has continuously iterated and evolved to create this entire digital delivery of shopping category. And I think the same thing is going to happen for legal services. I think sort of the e-commerceification, if that's even a word, of legal services is going to be massive. And I think what enables that, which is new, that was never available before, is the ability to build agentic AI systems that can handle this. Because you can't really e-commerce I guess you could buy a service online, like you click it, but you don't know what you're getting. Like, you don't get the execution of the service. Whereas now we're entering a world where it's not just software as a service. You can now have service delivered as software. And that means service industries like legal, as well as finance and other ones, you can start to get this kind of e-commerceification, much like you saw with physical products. And I think the same thing's going to happen. And I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you the timeline, but I can tell you with real data from our own product, we're already pushing and executing at volume, at scale, accurately, autonomous delivery of certain parts of that workflow. Frankly, much more than I thought we would, and farther along than I thought we would be at this time.
It's pretty mind-blowing to me, actually, because I was completely on the other side, working with a law firm and being on the operational side. And my whole thought was, how is this going to increase our conversion rate? How is this going to help us from having to hire more staff? And then, how is this going to help with our internal capacity? But it's such a smaller step in the big grand transition of what is actually taking place in the legal industry. Going back to kind of the architecture, and it sounds so complicated, and there's like, a lot of variables in building the architecture. I guess some people would be concerned about how actually accurate agentic AI is. And how do you make sure it's accurate?
It's pretty easy to measure because you see the outputs. And so first, I would say the same problem exists with humans. You hire one, or even worse, you hire 20 people. How do you make sure they're accurate, right? Like, you need call recordings. You got to listen to call recordings. You need AI to analyze call recordings and like surface, like, are people saying the right things? Are they doing the right things? Are they representing the firm properly? It's like, it's the exact same problem, just applied to a digital person instead of a human person. And so we use a lot of the same tactics. We've got our own AI systems that oversee what our digital teammate does, that's surfacing its own quality control and also escalating whenever things kind of look like they might go off the rails, or look like maybe the customer's not happy about something, or looks like the customer, if the experience isn't going well, we escalate to a human. And then we also track our escalation rate. So when we look at a given workflow in agentic AI, we want to make sure the escalation rate is low, which means we're successfully completing and getting to the other end. And when we complete get to the other end, just like a person would, right? Like, usually at a law firm, if just as an example, if someone gets a client to sign a retainer, there's generally like a review process of like, all right, did you ask them all the right questions? Did you get all the right things? Can we actually say yes to this retainer? Or like, did you maybe skip some steps? And so we pass off to a person that does that as well, which is another double check. And you could probably build agentic systems that double check that as well. And so we track this, but we track it also by making sure we go through testing phases as well. So every workflow or sequence that we deploy, which is an agentic AI system running, we just run on small cohorts and we test for both, kind of subjective quality as well as more objective quality of like, did it actually accomplish the thing it was supposed to accomplish, and how frequently did it or did it not? And so we measure that before doing anything at scale. And it's much the same way. Like if you hire a person, you got to do the same thing with a person. If you hire 20 people, you got to do the same thing with 20 people. And so we kind of operate the same way.